What? Is there like the turn it on? Call the meeting, PZA meeting for December 21st. Can we get a roll call, please, Kelly? Number 2. There you go. You're on.
Mr. Featherling?
Here.
Mr. Miller? Ms. Weber? Present. Mr. Fairfield? Present. Mr. Long? Present. Mr. Swanson? Present. Mr. Eckhoff? Present. Ms. Foster? Present. Ms. Andrade? Present. Mr. Ashcraft? Present. Mr. Scanlon? Present. Ms. Turner? Present. Mr. Wheeler? Present. Mr. Alexander Hildebrand? Present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We have no public comment that I'm aware of. No one, everybody back there is with us, so we don't have any. I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes from November 16th that we received on your email from Kelly. Get a motion from Eckhoff, Ashcraft, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Next up, we got the building report. Dell's here to give us the building report. I don't think we need to move on that. Do we need a motion to approve the building report? Yes. Okay, Mr. Swanson and Mr. Long, second. We'll go with it, and then we'll have a vote afterwards.
Good morning, everyone. You should have in your packet the November 2022 Building Division report. For the month of November, we had 2 homes. We issued a total of 71 permits with valuation of $2.8 million, and we brought in revenue of $30,046. Any questions on that?
No, anyone have any questions on the building report? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Dell, we get all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Okay, Dell, we have a Magruder and Associates plumbing inspection employment agreement that you have to go for today.
Yes, for the last several years, well,
get a motion to approve in a second. Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Fairfield.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Anyone doing plumbing inspections has to be a licensed plumber, and for the last several years, Mike Magruder and Associates has been, well, it was Mike Magruder, has been our plumbing inspector through contract. Mr. Magruder is getting ready to retire in the next few years and has changed the name to Magruder and Associates, and is partnering with Rick Lewis, who is one of his employees, to take up the helm for him after he retires. So the agreement should be in your packet there. Most of the changes are not very substantive. It's date changes and adding Mr. Lewis onto the list of people who can do the inspections. We are adjusting the compensation a little bit. If you look at item number 4, currently they receive a $300 a month, or excuse me, a $250 a month stipend and $60 for every inspection that they perform. We're leaving the $60 per inspection the same, but increasing their monthly per diem to $300. The liability insurance for Mike Magruder is paid by us, and Mike will pay for Rick Lewis's liability insurance for now. Those are the substantive changes to the contract.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Mr. Wheeler.
Just curious on how verification of license plays into this. Is that something that's renewed on a yearly basis for a plumber? Or once they have a license, they have one?
They have it.
You know, I'm not 100% sure on that, but we do require them to show us their license.
Okay, that's all I was concerned with.
I don't know how often it gets renewed, if ever, but
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Because we wouldn't want somebody, a sub of a sub, if you will, or this gentleman to bring someone in that's unlicensed. So
no, they are
that's-
licensed, yes.
Okay.
So in Dell, it has to be just these 2 people, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Rosemary? Number 12.
Microphone, please.
Sorry. Got it.
I have a question. Yeah, number 12. I think he has me. Was there any kind of process to open it up to the public? I mean, as far as finding a new person to take over for Mr. Magruder?
Not this time. The last contract we did open it up, and Magruder was the only one who applied for it.
Anyone else? Ms. Foster, is that all you had?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no more questions. We'll get a roll call vote on this, spending money.
Mr. Featherling?
Yes.
Ms. Weber? Mr. Fairfield? Mr. Long?
Aye.
Mr. Swanson?
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Aye.
Ms. Foster? Ms. Andrade? Mr. Ashcraft?
Aye.
Mr. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Turner? Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have quite a few new members here, and we have quite a few old members. So we're gonna, Dell's gonna give a little, an introduction to this, and you're not gonna get it all in one day. Obviously, you're not gonna learn everything today, and obviously, you're not gonna get all your questions answered. So if you have a question, we'll answer them, but Dell's gonna give us a little PowerPoint here, and so you can see what kind of goes on in PZA here.
Yes. I've determined it takes at least 4 days to become an expert at all of this, so we'll be doing this for at least 4 days. First of all, I know I've been presenting, but I am Delbert Skimmerhorn. I am the director of both the planning and GIS departments. And today I'm going to give you a little introduction, just a departmental overview. I have it divided into 4 parts, so today you're going to get part A, and I'm going to try to do this each month at PZA. So part B will be a crash course in zoning. When we get to part C is going to be more specific about our ordinance and our process, and part D will be talking about the county's comprehensive plan. So we should be wrapping that up about March, I guess, or so. So make sure you attend. It's going to be a lot of good information. Kelly? Excuse me. The planning department is divided into 4 divisions. I head up the planning division of it. We have Steve Marion, who handles our building division. Steve, so you can put a face to a name.
Yeah, there you go.
Had them all come up here. This is Steve Marion. He's our head building inspector. And no, you're fine right there. That's fine.
Do you have any? I don't think anybody. We'll see if they have any questions.
When we get to the question part, they're going to hang around. We have a transportation division. Ben Wilson, and you've probably already seen him, heard him talk. He heads up the transportation division. And we do not have a person in our solid waste division yet. We do have a job description out there looking for candidates. So if you know anybody who might be qualified, please send them my way. It's been posted for about 2 months now, and we still have no candidates. So getting into the more specifics, under planning. Under planning, we have zoning, which is zoning board hearings, farmstead exemptions. I know you should have used a bigger font there for you guys.
Yeah, can't read any of it,
Rural-based service providers. We also do the subdivision process, Plat Act compliance, plat reviews. We do comprehensive planning, plan maintenance, land use planning, environmental planning, and various specialty plans like greenways and trails plans and solid waste plans and various other plans. We also administer the county's floodplain program, doing base flood elevation determinations and making sure that the county stays compliant with the National Flood Insurance Program, which reduces the flood insurance rates for our citizens. We also do historic preservation, which is site analysis, selection, and the process management. And Miss Michelle Sadler, she heads that up for me. We're kind of in transition right now. She was our office manager and has moved into a planning role doing grant management and historic preservation for us. And the last one is grant management. Under building, we do building permits, both residential and non-residential, which involves plan reviews and inspections. We do stormwater permits, make sure that we are compliant with the MS4 program. We are actually up for an inspection by the IEPA for that probably in the next month to make sure we're doing it right. And that involves plan reviews and inspections for stormwater issues. We also do floodplain permits on both the plan reviews and inspections for that, erosion control, contractor registration, and code enforcement, which involves citations and inspections. Under transportation, we do transportation planning, which is safety planning. We do a long-range plan for transportation for the pretty much the metropolitan area. It's called the MPA for them every 5 years, and there are I think it's 5 core documents that we must maintain on a yearly basis: the Unified Work Program, the Transportation Improvement Program, Title VI, the Long Range Transportation Plan, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing one, but those are the core documents. Ben manages the MPO for us, make sure we're in compliant with IDOT and FHWA regulations, and does project analysis on the various transportation projects. They do data collection and management, and a big part of transportation is public outreach. Under solid waste, even though we don't have a person here, it's anticipated that they will be maintaining the plan. They will be doing the program management, such as the e-waste and household hazardous waste. They'll be doing a lot of public outreach with social media and education of our citizens on how best to handle solid waste, and they'll be doing compliance inspection and ordinance enforcement. Our GIS department is besides myself, is a one-person department. Mr. Jeffrey Olson heads up that division for me, and GIS stands for Geographic Information System. Many of you may be, the part of it you probably see is our online mapping system. Many people see that, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to get it to that point, and that's what Mr. Olson does. It modifies the data, makes sure the servers are running, just keeps it all together, manages our software for us. Okay. Next, please. To accomplish all of this, we actually interact with a variety of groups and committees under planning. Obviously, the county board and the Planning and Zoning and Agriculture Committee we report to. We work with the Regional Planning Commission on a variety of issues. For zoning cases, it's the Zoning Board of Appeals. That's the hearing board for all zoning cases, and where any zoning case that we have starts, and we will get a little more into that. And historic preservation is the Historic Preservation Commission. For building, the Board of Examiners is the hearing board for any issues with building permits, building codes, or contractors. Under transportation, transportation has the MPO Policy Committee and the Technical Advisory Committee that advises the Policy Committee. There's a Safety Committee. There's the County Transportation Committee, Region 6 HSTP group, and the Illinois State Freight Advisory Council that we work with. The GIS department reports to the County Board and PZA Committee, and there's also a GIS Advisory Committee, which a couple of you actually sit on. Okay, next. Thought I'd let you know a little bit about our revenue and sources. Planning is mainly paid out of, or is partially general fund, partially transportation grants, partially the GIS fund. The building division is paid explicitly out of the general fund. Transportation is funded out of a grant from FHWA and IDOT. Solid waste currently is out of the general fund. We are looking to see if we can't get a delegation agreement with the IEPA, which may bring some funds and grants our way from that. And the GIS department is paid for entirely by fees at the recorder's office. Okay. So after all of that, what is this committee's role in all of this? I highlighted zoning because that one is the one that probably
Hey, Bill.
Just real quick, Del, could you email this PowerPoint to us so we don't have to take notes? We can just
absolutely.
absorb it. I just want to make sure. I see people scrambling to write notes.
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
We'll get out to you. I didn't want to send it out early because I didn't want to ruin my thunder here.
I hear you. I hear
Okay, but
Your thunder?
well, if you already read it all, why do I need to even be up here? I don't know. So I want to.
Motion to adjourn.
This is exciting, right?
There's going to be a quiz when we get done, so make sure you get it right.
Planning is very exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I'm excited.
I like
Are you
it.
guys excited?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, so part of the zoning, and we're going to get into this much more next month, but you will have some zoning cases next month, so I thought I'd touch on it a little bit. the zoning process starts at the public hearing. The Zoning Board of Appeals hears each case, collects all of the evidence, and then renders a recommendation to this committee of how they think you should vote, whether it should be approved or denied. And they give you a rationale called findings of fact as to why they think that way. So your role in that is to review those findings, review the record of the zoning board, and determine whether you agree with them or not. And there's various avenues. If you do not agree with them, you can send it back, or you can make your own recommendation. We'll get into that more. Probably the most important thing that I can tell you right now when it comes to zoning cases is ex parte communications. Once we have an application filed, this becomes really more like a court case. You wouldn't want your jury over at the courthouse talking to everybody in town about how they should vote on that case. This is the same way. All evidence that you're making your decisions on needs to be presented in a public forum. And if you are talking to a citizen out on the street or at the coffee shop, the rest of this committee and the rest of the county board does not get to hear that same evidence and that same communication. So you really just shouldn't do that. Okay, I can't tell you not to, but you really shouldn't, because you can taint the case, and many cases have been overturned at the courthouse just because of that sole fact. Okay? So you're really hurting the case by doing that rather than helping it. But we'll get more into the weeds on that at next month. When it comes to subdivision, this committee has final approval on any and all preliminary plats, but all final plats go to the full county board. And for the rest of it, the committee is mainly a recommending body to the county board for all changes to ordinances, all adopted plans, any of our codes and regulations. And I actually divided them all out there, but they pretty much all say the same thing, that is making recommendations after presentation or after hearing a recommendation from one of the other committees or boards that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Sure.
13, okay. Steve, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Well, I've got a question. How does petitioner object to the findings of fact?
By coming to the hearing.
I understand that, but I'm saying in terms of petitioner, when you guys make a determination as to the findings of fact, what kind of forum is that, or how do they do that? Just by presenting information, submitting stuff in writing, or just oral testimony?
Any of the above.
Okay.
Any of the above. They need to present evidence that is contrary to the findings. So they present the way it works, and I'll go back to a courtroom scenario. The Zoning Board of Appeals sits up here. The applicant sits down there about where you are, Mr. Hunter, and they present their case. Once they're done with their presentation, the zoning board asks them questions, and once their questions are all satisfied, then they go to the public, and that's the public's opportunity to object.
Yeah, I was at a planning board hearing last night with the city of Kankakee, and we had some concerns about the findings of fact that they presented it, and we were able to get that particular aspect deleted. Thank you.
Exactly, yeah. And then once the public has presented their information, again, the zoning board will question them, might question the applicant about a response to that new evidence, and then ultimately they will deliberate and render a decision. Okay? All right. So, if you need, I'd scroll till you get to information. And if you need any information from us, obviously you can always stop in our office. We welcome you anytime during our normal business hours, of course. And we have several websites that you can also gather more information. We have a part of the k3county.net. Transportation has its own website, CATS MPO, which all of these you can get through k3county.net. The GIS has K3 GIS, and we do a lot of work with the Kankakee Economic Development Alliance, which Ben actually is a also employed there as well, and that's Kankakee County ED. So if you have .org, so if you have any questions about anything they're doing, you can get information there. And if you need to contact any of us directly, next one. That's the direct phone number and email for all of my division managers and myself.
Okay, everybody make sure you remember those.
I did make copies of those if you want one today, or you can wait till I email this out to you.
I was gonna say.
Okay.
You got it written big enough you can read it on those papers there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the smaller text I should have reviewed on this screen before I did that, because it was hard to read. And that is my introduction for today.
Okay. Okay, any questions on what you saw? Believing there'll be questions. If you have any questions, though, don't feel free to ask anytime. Nobody's gonna laugh at you about any questions, so.
I have one.
Okay, Mr. Wheeler.
Del, do we have any applications in-house on things we should not talk about with outside of this committee? Might be good. Is there anything?
Well, we have 2 zoning cases right now for community solar gardens, one in Limestone and one in Bourbonnais Township. Okay. They will be going to public hearing July 9th. Okay.
Should be warm then by then.
Oh, excuse me, January.
I was gonna say.
I just said no.
January 9th.
What, you take
Here
a
I am
long time.
dreaming of
All those
Christmas
people down
break
there, and
and
it takes you that long?
being somewhere warm.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, anything else? I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to ask questions at the next time, but. Okay, next up, we have a reappointment to Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission. We have, get a motion to approve these. Okay, Mr. Swanson, Mr. Eckhoff. Okay, we got to the Regional Planning Commission. We have Chad Miller, Sam Payton, Jeff Jarvis, and Thomas Sutrina. We have a motion and a second. Does anybody have any questions about any of those? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, we have appointments and reappointments to the Economic Alliance of Kankakee County. Okay. You get a motion and a second on those. Okay. Mr. Long, Mr. Ashcraft, second. Okay, we have appointment of Amanda Earps and Rosemary Foster, the reappointment of Chad Miller, and reappointment of Andrew Wheeler to the Economic Alliance of Kankakee County. Anyone have any questions about any of those? Okay, barring none, we say all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Next up, we have the bathymetric report. That's a kind of a weird word, but it means exactly what it says, basically. They're gonna measure the river and tell you how much sand and how much water is there. Is that right, Del?
Correct. If you think about topography, think of it as in terms of topography, it's the topography under the water of the river. Okay, it's not really measuring the water, it's measuring the surface under the water. 2 measurements we're intending to get out of this is the bed of the river, and the other measurement is how much sand load or sedimentation is on top of that at any given point. Each year, or every few years, as funds are available, the GIS department and the GIS committee tries to do a project for either improving the current data we have or new data that we could have. In this case, it was determined by the GIS committee that because of all of the work that's anticipated to be done on the river, that getting bathymetrics for the rivers would be the best project that we could do at this time. So what we're doing here, what's before you now is the request for proposals that we are intending to send out to get proposals from companies to do this actual work. It will be for the entire length of the Kankakee River, probably going at least a quarter mile outside of our county, and we're not just going to stop right at the county line, and the Iroquois River. So the entire stretch of both rivers to at least a quarter mile outside of our county. That's what we're intending to do.
taking the Iroquois River all the way
It
to
will be the Iroquois River as well, yes. So and this is a new data set that we currently do not have and will be extremely helpful to the companies and engineers that will be doing the dredging on the river in the future. Like I said, we do not have this currently, so it is a new data set for us and something to add to our arsenal of information. John?
Okay, oh, Mr. Hunter?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. What do you plan on utilizing the data with? I mean, how might it be useful?
How might it be useful? Well, they're gonna, and I'm not part of those companies or those engineers, but it's my understanding that it will be useful for them to know where to deploy the dredging, where to make it most efficient and best utilize our resources. You know, so they'll know where the heaviest sand loads are, and that should probably be the areas that they concentrate on and start with.
I got Andy back there.
But if it's coming from the east, from Indiana, is this going to be like a Band-Aid in terms of dredging, or is it'll be a temporary fix, wouldn't it? Or
Well,
not?
this proposal is just to get the information so we know where we're at. The dredging projects, and I think Mr. Wheeler could probably talk more about those, that is to remove the sediment and the sand.
Yeah, I know it's
How much of that would be a Band-Aid? I don't know. My personal opinion is you need to stop the source first, which
right. Amen.
Indiana is making great strides in doing that.
They're trying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it took 100 years to get there.
Yeah. Well, you know what's amazing? This is
You take it down to the rock, it could take another 100 years to fill back up again.
Yeah, actually, you know, we've been talking about this stuff, you know, back when I was a babe. I mean, even before then, about doing something about the sedimentation and all that stuff in the Kankakee River. And finally, you know, finally, there's something that's going to be done. Because, you know, people have been talk, but now it's going to be done. We got some funding. There's collaboration with Andy and the local legislators, specifically Senator Joyce. And it's, you know, almost saying hallelujah. And hopefully there'll be some pictorial renditions of what we're doing for posterity.
This is going to help them determine how much they need to take out and where. Okay.
Mr. Wheeler?
That was gonna be my comment, is we need to know how many cubic yards of sand we have and where in order to find a home for it, because that's the big cost on those types of projects. Is it's not necessarily getting it out, it's the transport and finding a home for all of that sand. So tomorrow, I would say if you're interested in this, we're gonna have a presentation from Burke Engineering about the Aroma project and the cubic yards of sand over there. That allows me to be able to talk to the local source that wants the sand to see how much they can take, which lets us determine how much more of that project we can do. Now, the key is don't expect, and I want to manage expectations, because as you'll see tomorrow, there's also a presentation of the Yellow River work, which feeds all the sand into the Kankakee. What's been done, 40% of the sand in the Kankakee comes from the Yellow, and they just finished their phase 1, which was the Yellow River. It's amazing what they've done to stop the sand from coming in. I'm on that board, so I hear about it all the time. But the answer is not to dredge here, because it will just fill in. It won't take 100 years to fill in. It'll take 6 months to fill back in. It's that much sand load is coming. So the key is that we're able to maintain and use the river here while Indiana stops it coming. So in that 40 to 50 year range, we don't have big loads of sand and sediment coming down the river, or sediment coming up the Iroquois, which is a much bigger problem once they come together. Massive amounts of sediment and really water volume. The Iroquois takes over once they come together. And that's what they call it, the barrel of the gun that Wilmington is staring down. So there's a lot more to come. I just don't want people to think that we're going to start dredging, because that would be, as they say, stupid money, because it's going to fill back in. We just want to use the river, go around, boat, get the log jams out of there, stabilize the shoreline so we're not making the problem worse while the Indiana fix takes hold. Hope that makes sense. But tomorrow's going to be all about that in our new Highway and Waterways Committee.
And improve fishing and outdoors, kayaking and canoeing and boating and things like that too.
And habitat.
At the same time.
Habitat,
turtles, frogs, shells,
And-
clams, all of
Kelly,
it.
can you hit the next one?
Mermaids.
Keep going, one more. Keep going, right there. That is I know that's extremely hard to read, but that's a screenshot of what the type of data would look like. One of the deliverables.
Is it a good way to look at it? Is it kind of like LiDAR with ground penetrating radar? So you're able to kind of see the surface of the sand and the bed underneath it?
Not quite, but yeah, there's similar products like that, yeah.
And does this proposal that you're asking us to vote on for bathymetrics, does it include any type of 3D modeling so you can see?
No,
It's just the raw data?
this is the raw data.
Okay.
And we can decide what to do with that data once we have it.
Okay.
So we could move on to a 3D model of some sort, yes.
I had a quick question about that, Dell. Is that mean we're going to be able to put that all in the GIS then? Is Jeffrey going to blow all that stuff up and cover the whole river from end to end with the bathymetrics lines in it with the contours?
Yes.
Okay.
Whether
that's
we
nice.
distribute that anywhere is a different story. But
Well, you can
yes,
sell
we can certainly do that.
sell fishing maps.
Yes, I've had a lot of comments on that, yes.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Mr. Hunter.
I know there had been some articulation about the use of the sand. There was no commercial use for that stuff, but I thought maybe they would use it for sandbags or something, you know, during floods or whatever. But what's the possibility of the use of the sedimentation, the sand that they're going to get from the river? And I think I heard the chairman say that there's somebody who's interested in the sand. I said, that's kind of news
Some
to
of
me.
I
it.
think that's for agricultural use, to spread on fields to loosen the soils.
Oh,
It was studied several years ago, and it's been a long time since I looked at that study, but the conclusion was that it was not suited for construction material. So you
Right.
could not use it for making concrete or for backfilling foundations or things like that. All right, whether it could be used for sandbags, I can't say.
At one time, they were talking about bringing the Ileana Expressway across, and they said they could use it between concrete embankments to hold it up. They could fill it in, but they couldn't just use it as a ramp going up.
Yeah, at a microscopic level, the sand is rounded and it doesn't bind to
It's
itself.
it's polished, polished sand.
thank you.
Okay, we'll try to show everybody what's going on as it goes on there, I'm sure.
You'll probably hear more about that at the Highway and Waterways Committee.
Yeah. That's tomorrow. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock right here. If anybody wants to come. Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have to have the motion to put that out to bid, or you just put it out to bid?
A motion to approve the RFP so I can send it out for bids.
Okay. We got a motion to approve the RFP. Okay. Mr. Fairfield over there. Mr. Swanson, second. All in favor, say aye. Oh, we're spending money.
No, no, you're not.
No.
Not yet.
Okay, so it's coming back. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
The process on this is once the bids are received, the GIS committee will open those bids and have a presentation by each of the bidders for their qualifications. They'll make a recommendation to this committee, and then you'll see it again, which will go to the full county board.
Okay, thanks, Dell. Hey, that's all for Dell?
That's it.
Okay, anything under old business? I don't think so. Anybody have any old business? Anybody have any new business? And none of that, so we get a motion to adjourn. Okay, Mr. Long, Mr. Ashcraft, all in favor say aye.